Thank you so much. This particular panel discussion is just before the lunch, so we'll try to make it as short as possible. So possibly we'll take around 35 to 40 minutes. And in the previous panel discussion, I think there are a lot of areas which has been touched upon because that also focus on innovation, especially from technology perspective and from finance. So what we are going to do, our topic is reimagining the modern PSU, leadership, innovation, and strategic transformation at scale. And we are joined by a very diverse set of public sector organization and different sets of leaders from those organizations. So maybe I'll begin with Mr. Sivakumar. Mr. Kumar, what we have been observing, especially with majority of PSU, if you want to do at a scale, your partnership, your collaboration with ecosystem partners become really important, especially for project delivery, and there are a lot of other work. And then comes the technology, other allied thing. So how has been your experience and how do you look at in terms of delivering larger project at scale? What kind of partnership cooperation you are looking at? If you could share some insight on that.
Thank you. I think we are already running late for this session. Yeah. So this is a very relevant question. If you think the renewable energy, the energy transition that is happening in the country and in the sector, today we stand at number 3 worldwide. The reason behind is a company like SECI has facilitated, has played its role to de-risk the projects. That is very important for the investors, for the developers to come in and invest the monies. At SECI, what we do is we do a bid design based on specific inputs from the off-takers, predominantly the discoms, and we stand as an intermediary and provide the payment security, and that will give a leverage for the companies or the prospective developers to get their debt at reasonable rates and then participate in our bids and quote their best prices. So they are signed, PPAs and PSAs are signed with all the stakeholders on back-to-back basis. This has kick-started, and in fact, this specific mechanism has led to the fall of tariffs in renewable energy. We witnessed those days when renewable energy tariffs used to be more than 10 rupees, then it came down to 7 rupees 50 paisa, and then now if you talk of plain solar, it is now stabilized at around 2 rupee 50 paisa. And then wind is around 350 to 4 rupees, and so on and so forth. Now, since we have sufficient solar capacity already installed in the country, now we are trying to invent different models. The prominent amongst them is the FDRE, that is demand matching kind of renewable energy support for those discoms. And we also now came out recently with contract for difference, where we stand to guarantee the discovered price, and then the entire energy will be sold in the market, and whatever arbitrage will be, the honors will be shared on the higher side or the lower side. There's no PPAs signed with the discoms. So these are some of the innovations which PSUs are playing apt and relevant role to kickstart the process, to give the awareness and to create an ecosystem and to be a market maker. That's how it continues to play the role, by bringing all the stakeholders together.
No, absolutely. I think bringing all the stakeholders together is really important, and that's the way forward. Now I'll move to Dr. Rajesh Kumar Dutta. Dr. Dutta, we are focusing on innovation, and what we have actually observed that culture of innovation inside PSU, especially organization which is driven by engineering, you always have a kind of dichotomy. You look at, doing things at scale, you look at imbibing technology, but at the same time, you have to be accountable, and there are a lot of accountability in between, and you need to balance innovation with accountability. Cybersecurity, let's say, with ease of actually doing business. So how has been your experience, especially in terms of accountability and innovation?
Thank you very much. My background is from consultancy organization where the design, engineering, innovation, technology development, technology adoption, these are the prime objectives. And if you see the growth path and the changing scenario, how the company, when it was established in 1959, as a repository of the steel technology, because steel plants were going on in the country and there was no technology. Even there was, for a small training, we used to send our engineers to foreign countries. So from there, we innovated, we researched, and we developed our own technology in the country. So in many areas of steel plant, now we are technologically self-reliant. So this is the transformation what happened in a PSUs to make it more relevant with the current demand. Second thing, that innovation, whenever innovation comes, it is to be adopted, and it has an impact on the leadership in the form that leadership controls and directs the organization in a way to have more accountable, to have a better governance. And for the better governance leadership, your leadership should be modern, your leadership should be equipped with all the digital information, digital networks, and AI, ML, your Industry 4.0. So these things come in our day-to-day working everywhere. As a consultant, we understand our responsibility and accountability to the public, because to the extent this to innovate and to make it faster, we have innovated many things like VLM based tender processing mechanism, tender processing system. So with this system what we have developed in-house, we have reduced the tender evaluation time from the days to few minutes, and this without having compromising any of the standards, any of the procedures. So this is giving us a great help, because in last month, just in 2.5 months, we placed an order of cumulative around 7,000, 8,000 crore, which was a dream a few years back. Then we developed a SLD, single line diagram mechanism, in which it is prepared in few minutes. In the blast furnace technology, we are developing blast furnace digital twin, because blast furnace, we charge the raw material and the finished products comes out. What happens inside the furnace, it is still a question for the technology providers. And for that, we are based on our previous experiences, that the type of raw materials and the type of conditions in which we are feeding, at which parameter, what was the output, based on those data analysis. Now we are developing the digital twin, which will help in further research in this division. So all this ultimately coming to the transparency, to the accountability, and to the development of nation at large.
No, absolutely. Mr. Banerjee, I'll come to you now, especially given the fact that you take care of project management, and we do see in view of a lot of innovation happening in, especially with the emerging technologies. Even the project management has seen a lot of development, a kind of trajectory in terms of saving time, cost, having better visibility. What are the things you are noticing, especially from the GAIL perspective, some of the newer innovation that you would have adopted, if you could share something around that?
Thank you so much. Very apt question as today's world, where the projects need to be expedited. You have to imbibe the innovations, you have to imbibe the digitalization as well. So let me just a brief talk about GAIL. GAIL already commissioned almost 20,000 kilometers pipeline across the length and breadth of this country. It includes the natural gas pipeline as well as LPG pipeline as well. And right now we are implementing around 3,000 kilometers of pipeline, and another 2,500 kilometers of pipeline are in the maybe will be starting this doing this execution maybe 6 months down the line, and also another 1,000 kilometers pipeline we are coming in near future from Davol to Vijaypur. It's a C2 pipeline. So to secure the energy infrastructure. Now, as you rightly said, the project is while doing these complex projects all across the length and breadth of this country, where a lot of challenges we are, a lot of challenges we are taking up every day. So we have to have a certain methodology, certain changes are required definitely, because technology is not a very big issue for us, right? Because technology is available, technical know-how is available, technical capability we are having. The main issue is the speed. Main issue is the speed of execution of the job with the reliability and with the efficiency. That is the major thing that, that is required, not for GAIL, but for all the public sectors and private sector together in India. Not even in India, but in the entire world. Now tell us example, how we do with this execution speed, for which the certain organizational structural changes are required. And definitely you are also doing it, what MECON, they are also doing a lot of innovation, a lot of changes in organizational structures. Now the one by one, just I'll touch upon very briefly. One is the decentralization or the decentralization of the autonomy, right? You have to decentralize the power of this thing. For even a small thing, you don't need to go to the director. You don't need to the ED every day. So what you have to do is, you have to decentralize the power, the autonomy to the lower level people, so that day-to-day decisions they can take at site. They don't have to take example at Delhi mein somebody is sitting, I have to report to him, I have to give her this thing. So what happens? It changes, delays the decision making process. Number one. In this way, GAIL is also doing this, like we have also devising our delegation of powers, so that we want to make delegation of powers at a lower level people, so that they are empowered with a lot of financial and operational, this thing. And number one. Number two, the sequential activity, the sequential, the way of taking approvals. Rather than sequential taking the way of approval, whatever we are doing, a lot of PSUs, I've seen a lot of PSUs are doing it as a cross-functional team. So they have got a cross-functional team available at the site, available at the corporate office, depending on the nature of the job, depending upon the financial implications. They take a decisions there itself. So that is very, very important. He was taking about 7,000 crores of pipeline, it's a capex of around 30,000 crores of pipeline. So even if very small decisions is held up, so definitely what happens is, it generally creates hindrances for the project management, for the project execution. That is number two. Number three is the modernization of the procurement technology, modernization of the procurement philosophy. Right now we are stuck, all the PSUs are stuck with the L1. All the PSUs are stuck with the L1. Whatever gets the bid, he will be given the technology. And finally, what happens is, in my this thing for the 20-25 years of service, I have seen, I've given a L1 party. After some time, they have stopped to deliver. In GAIL, we have also started for the cost QCBS, quality and cost based selection. So what happens? We give a quality parameter, a number, and also cost is not the only factor to give an award of party to somebody. Not only the cost, quality also plays a important scenario. And this thing we have to change, because everywhere if I say something, say that, what is this? We have to give L1. Now we have to change. With this thing, there might be a lot of resistance, there might be a lot of other hindsight as well, but we have to change as per our new technology, as per our new the requirements to speed up the process. And all of the contracts, wherever any PSU, all the contracts are one-sided. If we are said, okay, I'll penalize you if you delay our time. But there is no provision in the contract. I'll also reward you if you complete the project ahead of schedule. At least in GAIL, we have not. We have coming up. That is number three. Number four is the digital transformation. Everybody is talking about digital transformation. Is it not a fancy word? It is our need of the hour. Now what happens is, we have got a MIS system where my management, where myself, everybody talks about, okay, today's delay, this and that. We are developing a project dashboard. In your mobile, you can hover around where our pipeline is project is going on. You can just hover around. You can see exactly their pipeline is getting delayed or their pipeline has got a problem. Not only pipeline, any project, There my capex overrun is taking place. There my maybe one issues are being faced, which is being unresolved for quite some time. So this kind of organizational transformation, digitalization, we have to take into account. So one is that dashboard monitoring, one is that making digitalization in our procurement philosophy, in our procurement cycle, one is your everything, everywhere you have to put a digitalization. I mean, there is no, we have also carried out certain what do you call it, measurement systems where nothing is, everything is digital. Everything is digital. So there kind of this thing, we can speed up the process. We can speed up everything. And last but not the least is the project, you have to inculcate a system, you have to inculcate an organizational system in this. It is more of a performance oriented rather than your compliance oriented. We are more of a compliance driven, this thing. We have to be a performance driven company. Rather than, definitely, in a PSU, in all PSU, the one governance and one transparency is the main focus on us. But at the same time, performance also driven system should be given the more priority rather than this. For doing these organizational changes, definitely leadership also has to anchor, has to champion these organizational challenges, organizational changes. I think these are the major changes, major organizational changes we have to inculcate in our PSUs to speed up the process. Thank you so
absolutely. Mr. Pandey, Mr. Banerjee very eloquently put in place 4 or 5 very important points which majority of PSUs needs to look into it in a very organic, in a structured, long-term way. And there, the digital transformation and technology becomes a kind of signifier and differentiator as well, because if your technology stake is in place, you have a different kind of visibility altogether across your entire, not only the IT infrastructure, but whatever you are doing. But given the fact that the kind of innovation that is happening in view of the AI, right, the vector attack surface for PSU, for enterprises are increasing like never before. Therefore, the cyber resiliency becomes a core component of innovation and maybe a future business resiliency plan for any PSU. So how do you look at it? How has been your experience, especially at dedicated freight corridor? What are some of the things that you are doing that possibly other PSU could imbibe and can become part of the journey of overall innovation and transformation?
Very interesting question, especially around the digital infrastructure and the security of the infrastructure. It's a given that for the modern businesses to enlarge, and especially public sectors, to reach the kind of customer service, the citizen-centric services that they provide, digital infrastructure is probably the most prudent manner to reach them, given the telecom infrastructure and the endpoint device ecosystem that is available with the people. Now, data resilience, or I would not call data resilience, there's one word that I very frequently use in some of the forums, which is sovereign business continuity. So PSUs are in a business of business. So one is the business has to continue, it has to be, business continuity has to be ensured. The second part is sovereignty in the business continuity, so that nobody else is able to impede in the efficacy with which you actually conduct your business. And the second part has got 2 sub-parts to it. One is the threat landscape or the vector landscape that you're talking of absorbing new technologies in it, and especially AI-related threats that are coming on the horizon every now and then. Doesn't require expertise, but tools enable the exploitation of that attack surface. You have products like the Mythos on the horizon, and also technology controls, which we have just seen that how crucial technology can be denied to you to ensure that your rise or your business continuity is affected. So in case of Mythos and Cloud, we have just seen that. Very imperative that we look at at leadership level, strategic level, we look at the choice of technology that we are making. So I go back to where the country is headed today, nowadays, Make in India. So focus on Make in India, have the capability in India. So that's the choice of technology. Government has been harping for adopting open source for quite some time, but given the ecosystem that already exists, we are application service providers to the world, but we don't have a ERP of our own. So we rely on German companies and US companies for them, which can switch off the plug any day. So those kind of things is first part of when you're talking of resilience, these are part of resilience. When we have something of our own, take pride in it, develop it, nurture it, and adopt it at the leadership level. Maybe you have the ecosystem under your control, and that to a very significant extent reduces the entire attack surface. Next is use of AI. AI versus AI is the buzzword today, that if AI is being used for attack, AI should be used for defense. Let's not hype up these cyber attacks or the cyber threats that are there beyond a reasonable limit. You will have number of threats existing from different vulnerabilities that you may have and may be exploited. But do they affect the core business? If they're not affecting the core business, you have at the threat rating in any case, it's a low level threat or a high level threat or a critical threat. Address what is important, not critical what rating agencies tell you, critical what is critical to your business. So if you do that, I think it does the big piece of the whole puzzle. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll come back to you once again, especially you touched upon very important thing, which is the sovereignty. Now I'll go to Mr. Gupta. Mr. Gupta, you come from ESSL, and we see the kind of large scale project that you have been delivering, especially around the energy across the India, whether it is a smart meter, any other thing. And most of these required, and even the people are no longer just looking energy as energy, they are looking it as an integrated solution. And there also the ecosystem partners become important. Some of the innovation that at the delivery level that is happening becomes important. So if you could share your thoughts, especially around how do you look at the integrated solution for general public around energy, which is a smart, future-ready, resilient.
Thank you for important question, because we strongly feel that inclusion is something which is imperative for having the holistic approach and providing the right solution which can be of use for the people. We as an organization have been working on the ecosystem base only, but the initial approach has been more on the product side. We have had our own successes related to LED lighting, then fans, then smart meters and all. So, but we are increasingly feeling and experiencing that the approach which actually we need to have is more about holistic. We did a couple of projects, we call it BEEP, Building Energy Efficiency Program. That was about making an infrastructure energy efficient. But increasingly, we are seeing through our interventions, like I give you the example of PME bus drive scheme, wherein we are the nodal agency for driving the overall ecosystem. We are not only talking about the electric buses, rather the integrated approach is also there for creating the charging infrastructure around it. So that actually completes the overall business cycle, not only from the perspective of having a mobility solution, rather an integrated charging infrastructure as well, and on top of it, naturally, the entire collection and billing process as well. Same goes with our approach related to smart metering, wherein it is not only about doing the metering activity at the home level, rather creating the entire ecosystem for getting the best of the solutions to the customers through these smart meters, because they are going to be the right tool for providing so many other solutions which can be very effective for making people adopting newer technologies. So the kind of data which is being generated is something which is highly valuable, and we can actually peep in to the actual consumption pattern of the people, and we can actually derive what is the kind of preferences or usage pattern that person or family is having, and then based on that you can offer the best of the solutions as well. So it's all about taking a cue from your current solutions and integrating it at a mega scale. That has been the approach of ESL of late in last couple of years or so. And we find that this approach is much more inclusive and can multifold the advantages what it can bring over individual equipment-based solutions. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Colonel Pandey, I'll come back to you again. Earlier you mentioned about the sovereignty, and we do see that kind of conversation happening on a very large scale, and there is some level of understanding within the government ecosystem as well that sovereignty is really important, especially with the couple of cases that has happened in relation to the Russia and Iran and all. That has somehow actually educated people a lot. Now, the challenge with the sovereignty is, especially from a technology perspective, a lot of technology that we talk today, whether it is a cloud technology, cybersecurity product, AI, most of these are proprietary. Even the open source that we see, whether it is GitHub, it is also a part of a Microsoft, which is a random proprietary company. You look at OpenShift, which is part of Red Hat, right? These are proprietary one, and it required a lot of research effort, maybe about 10-year, 20-year horizon to build that kind of product. And even if you go at the data center level, the rack, the server, those all come from some Western countries or maybe a neighbor, maybe somebody who supports us. So in a very realistic sense, what should be an ideal sovereign balance? I mean, which we or PSU can very honestly look at it, number one. Second, down the line, let's say 15 year, what kind of investment PSU should be making, especially around young entrepreneur, startup, in view of maybe putting something, pushing them in, so that some of those things they are able to build. Because PSU, obviously, they will focus on their own core competency, right? So if you could share something around it.
Very interesting question. In fact, this discussion we were having yesterday on a different fora, that if you decide to create this entire sovereign stack, own the entire thing from end to end, it's for the world it has been a 40, 50 year journey. For you it will be at least 20-year journey if you start from the scratch, if you want to make the server end to end in yourself. We did have an initiative of 300 megahertz chip being made in India by an IIT professor. So there are these isolated islands of sparks where such things are happening. But is 300 megahertz good enough for everything, for all our needs? No. But how much is 300 megahertz good enough for? If I actually template my requirements, and if I just for a second strip all the things that I do not need today, a 300 megahertz CPU is a good CPU to meet at least 60-70% of my requirements. None of them which are highly time critical, time sensitive, so I'm not looking at them. So that's the first part of it. Coming to the open source, you obviously cannot reinvent there's no point in reinventing the entire wheel again. You should be able to utilize the existing wheel in a manner that nobody is able to put a spoke to it. So put the guardrails around the existing wheels, whether some of it is regulatory in nature, some of it, and in today's era, everybody is competing for supremacy, at least at the strategic and national level. So denial of technology will happen. So if denial of technology is going to happen, you have to have, in certain spheres where you say that, yes, I have the capability, you have to have that kind of capacity building or that kind of intellectual capital where you actually have a counter to what is already going on. And the kind of startups that I have seen in the ecosystem today are tremendous. They're making models of their own and using the OpenGPT format, starting from there. So at least you have a start point. When I say open source, yes, GitHub has got acquired now. Yeah. Similarly, OpenShift got acquired. So these acquisitions will continue, but the fact that it was open source initially lets you leverage that power. See Linux, right. So many variants have come up. Now you've got licensed enterprise versions also which are there. But then everyone is using your Android, starting from Android to the enterprise version. All of them is Linux. The way you use it, repackage it, repurpose it, and you put guardrails around it, that will ensure sovereignty. For a mailing solution, I am dependent on a company called Microsoft. To be very honest, I do not hesitate in naming companies. It speaks very highly of us as a country that I would say that we can't. You have Zoho, which has come up using the same open source mechanism that has come up. Similarly, nobody in the world produced a equivalent of a PowerPoint or Word or Excel. It's something beyond just technology that one has to be mindful of. And also that the purpose of startups that we are looking at, government is not looking at that much capital infusion in any case. You're looking at a collaborative growth. The purpose of startups is no longer to become unicorns. Most of them are looking to get bought out. So if you're looking to get bought out, you're going to sell your intellectual capital in any case. So there has to be some kind of support and direction. There are a lot of Brownian motion happening in the technology space, at least in the Indian context. Each one of them, individual brilliance. There has to be an electric field or magnetic field that they need to be subjected to, so that you have a directivity. And this entire startup ecosystem, while retaining their own sovereign business continuity, are directed towards achieving a greater national strategic goal. Absolutely. That is what I would say.
No, absolutely. I think you touched upon some of the very important points. Mr. Sivakumar, I'll come to you. Earlier you spoke about the collaboration ecosystem. And as Colonel Pandey says that, the sovereignty also becomes very important, where you not only own the product, but you also have a better understanding of everything. So the capacity building becomes very important. So from energy perspective, how do you look at what stage we are in terms of the resources that we have right now? Can they actually take us to, let's say, 2037, or do we need to shift the gear?
Yeah, it is not a single word answer. It needs some kind of deliberation. In energy space, the speed at which we are expanding, earlier our dependence was only on thermal energy systems, they're coal-based or gas-based, maybe sometimes small capacity in nuclear field. Now, with the advent of transition that SECI has facilitated in the country, now our non-fossil fuel installed capacity is more than 260 gigawatts. We are third largest. If you talk about specific to solar, it itself is 160, and wind is about another 60 gigawatts, so combined it is 220. In fact, some days ago, if you see, the peak energy crossed 280 gigawatts on one specific day, where the renewable energy kicked in the afternoon to the tune of 120 to 140 gigawatts. And by evening, since solar comes down, this is occupied by the thermal energy. Now, if you talk of this kind of development would be possible because we have the ecosystem to build such capacity. In the beginning, we were dependent on our neighboring country, that is China, to import these modules, to import these turbines, so on and so forth. Now, today, we stand at a point where our domestic manufacturing capacity of modules is more than 150 gigawatts. 150 gigawatts. And similarly, we have turbine manufacturing capacity close to 30 gigawatts. And cell manufacturing capacity is 25 gigawatts and still counting. So this is the scale what we have developed in the last 3 to 4, 5 years. And behind this, the government schemes delivered through a company like SECI kick-started this manufacturing capability in the country. And now we are looking at developing battery capacity. Now we acquired the assembly, we buy the cell from neighboring country and do the assembly, rack, pack, container, and then the EMS, energy management system, battery management system, and the grid support systems like SCADA and things like that. So these capacities now government is supporting through PLI schemes, and this PLI will help the country to develop the cell technology and then improve the capacity. Today we are operating on lithium iron phosphate battery technology. Now we are looking increasingly towards sodium-based cell technologies, and I think it is already round the corner. And also we are also talking of the flow batteries. In fact, one of the pilot is already established in NTPC Netra in Greater Noida. So we are doing small experiments, but still we lack the greater R&D happening in the country. We are doing small bits and pieces here and there in pockets because we do not have the proper ecosystem in the country. We do not have the colleges that support research. We do not have the funds to support the colleges to go into the research mode. And it's all happening in pockets. In fact, I can tell you of one such initiative taken by the Ministry of Renewable Energy, supporting the IIT Mumbai to develop these advanced perovskite tandem cells. And that is happening, that is going to kickstart the next generation revolution in solar cells, where the tariff can go below, say, 1 rupee 50 paisa if this technology really takes shape and comes in place. So these are some of the initiatives, but then if you see as a country how much we are spending, including the philanthropic capital, it is in millions, whereas the US spends more than $1 trillion, China spends about 800 billions, and we are nowhere. That's why we are always ended up as followers, but not creators of new technology.
Oh, absolutely, some very valid point. Mr. Banerjee, I'll come to you earlier. You touched upon 3-4 very important points, and I would like to ask you from a PSU perspective, you earlier touched upon 4-5 points. What are the 1 or 2 important critical things that you feel that the PSU leader who are sitting over here, they should leave as a core message in terms of the transformation agenda within their organization? Maybe 2 things they must focus on down the line, let's say 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year.
Thank you. It's a very critical question. Basically, it's a adaptability to change. So right now, basically, GAIL as a company, it's a basically fossil fuel oriented company, right? Gas and a lot of other speakers, they are talking about the transition fuel, this and that. So as a company, then we have to diversify your portfolio. You are no longer should be, definitely that is a core business. So oil and gas is your core business. At the same time, you have to diversify your portfolio based on the change situations. So first thing first, adaptability to the change. Number 1. Number 2 is your agility. Is your agile project management or agile anything, is agility. So that is the most important criteria that every PSU must inculcate in your system. So that is because since you have to transform your company from need-based, it should be a need-based, it should be a requirement of this thing, not in a very standalone basis or very in a isolated situations, right? So you have to diversify your portfolio, you have to look around what is going on in your future, sometimes you have to look back and see exactly what you're doing is good or bad. Sometimes you have to also move from your main core business as well. For an example, we have burnt our fingers in, you must have seen recently that the oil and gas volatility in India, not in India, and all over the world. So you have to have a diversified portfolio, number 1. Number 2, you have got agility to move, along requirement and all. Number 2 and number 3 is the trust. Is a learning organization, is a trust among all between this management, and everyone is a management in a company, right? So you have to create a atmosphere of trust in an organization. So these are the basic things that we have to transform. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Trust, the delegation, believing on the team is really important. Dr. Dutta, I'll come to you. What would be your 2 suggestions, especially from transformation perspective, based on your experience?
Regarding this, just I would like to answer this question. Before that, I would like to highlight some of the things. Like in the consultancy organization, what is happening, that sometimes you are giving consultancy to your steel plant, sometimes you are giving to oil and gas industry, sometimes to space. Just for information, MECON is proud to be associated with the making of second launch pad of ISRO. When there was global sanction on the country, so we developed together with ISRO scientists the technology and we built it, and now it is a marvel in the country. So then you are going to nuclear, you are going to renewable. So for a leader, number 1 thing is that he should be well informed. And equipped with all the latest available your AI tools, digital tools, whatever we are saying, so that the decision making, whenever he takes a decision, it will not only depend upon his experience, his vision, but it will be assisted by the tools, by the modern technology in taking a correct and accurate decision. So this is the one thing regarding the leader. And the second one, that the innovation brings not in one day, but it has to brought into the culture of the working of the organization. So the leader has to drive the organization in such a way that the way the global scenario is changing, we should change accordingly, we should adopt accordingly, so that we should be relevant in the future also. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. We are completely exhausted our time. We have around 48 seconds, so we can take one question from audience. So if any one of you would like to ask anything, possibly you can raise your hand, just share your name and designation, and you can ask any one of us. I think I don't see any questions. So Mr. Gupta, Colonel Pandey, Mr. Sivakumar, Mr. Banerjee, Dr. Dutta, thank you so much for being such a wonderful panelist. I think you all spoke about various things, especially from innovation, from PSU transformation perspective. So thank you so much for taking out time, and thank you for being such a wonderful panelist. Thank you.